Hello, my name is Mark Anthony DuBose Jr. and I was born July 4th, 1986. Today I'm talking about something that more and more I keep on reading this Bible, the more that it starts to truly entertain me. First time was kind of hard, second time was third time is but now it's actually getting to the point that it's getting very, very just, that word of entertaining is all that I can say. That it's a phenomenal story because the more and more I keep on reading it, the more I keep going through it, the more I just go from front to back, or just over and over. There's something I'm going to say is special about that, as opposed to just trying to jump around to try to find something that to fit, for instance, as opposed to just reading the whole thing. Because when you read the whole thing, you get because there's stories lines that are going on here. There's stories that are going from the start of the story to the end of the story. Sometimes when you just read a Bible verse, you're not really understanding the story on why that specific thing was being said in that story. That you're reading it and you're thinking that it's meaning something, but it's actually meaning something else. And then when you constantly keep doing that, you're going to constantly keep getting yourself in a situation where you actually don't know what's going on. That you thought you knew what that was, you thought you knew the meaning behind it, you thought that you knew the context behind it, but in reality, you're very, very, very confused. Because someone's going to hit you with something different, and then you're going to say that's not true, and then they're going to read the whole thing to you, and you're going to say, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize it was that way. There's many things in this Bible that I've come to just realize that when I just read the whole thing, I'm just like, wow, I didn't know it was really like that. I didn't know Jesus was really like that. I didn't know that that's what the whole reason why that went down in that situation, that why that Bible verse has to be said and why it's even there. And it's something that is just very interesting, because the only place in this Bible where a verse is enough is the book of Psalms and the book of Proverbs. That's the only place. Everywhere else, there's stories. So if there's a person that's giving you just a verse of God is good, and it's like, I hear you, but at the same time, God is evil, because he's everything. He's all of it. So you have to have a very good understanding of knowing the whole context here, and not just thinking that there's just one way about it and just one thing. There's an unlimitedness here. And once you really start to understand that, I'm telling you, you're really going to start to understand who God is. And when you start to understand who God is, you're going to start to really understand how to be able to move about this planet, to be able to do what you need to do, to be able to have God pay attention to you in a way. Because he's not paying attention to you if you're just being disobedient to everything that he's asking for us to do. He's over there, and you're here just doing what you're doing. When you start calling upon him, you start asking him, you start doing what it is that he's looking for from you, he's going to start to have no choice but to do something for you. He's like, oh, you my people. You always been my people, but you've been just some disobedient, just ruthless people out here. And I can't deal with you people when you're acting that way. But he's like, once you starting to pay attention to my commands, you starting to learn about me, you start to know how I work, God's like, come on in. And he's going to start to bring to you what it is that he's looking for you to do. And it's something that I think is probably the most amazing concept of who God is. That he's so unlimited that's where, like, constantly I keep on reading over and over the concept of that's where we get our skills and what it is that we're supposed to be doing from. This is directly from God. No one's even going to teach us what it is that we're really, really good at. You're just going to get like the best way I put it is a download of information, literally like overnight, of something that you could be working on to be able to have a satisfactory life on this planet, without having to go into the ways of having to try to deceive people to get what you need, having to lie and manipulate to get what you need, having to cheat to get what you need, having to steal to get what you need. That he's going to be able to give you something to be able to give you a way to be able to have a nice, blessed way of being able to live on this planet. And then when someone looks at you and they says, man, you're really good at that. How do you get that? And that's the opening that even in the Bible, but today for sure, 100%, that's the opening of how do you be able to get to a person, to be able to explain to them what's going on and explain to them who God is. When they see that skill that you're out there performing it and just amazing at, and someone's going to look at that and say that this just mind-blowing. How are you that good? And that's you're in to say, you know what? I've just been praying and I've been asking. I've been trying to get closer and closer to God, and God's been helping me out, and he's been guiding me, and he showed me something, and he's given me something to be able to allow me to do something for you. And doing this for you, it has been able to allow me to get even better and better, and get more calm, get more relaxed, and bring more peace to me. And that's way to be able to communicate to more people exactly what God is all about and what he's here to be able to do for us. He's here to guide us, to help us, to bring something great to us. He's not here to destroy us and hinder us and enslave us. He's going to do that because he has no choice because of the things that we were doing. And it's not even so much a sense that things that your ancestors were doing, that yes, there's stuff that they've done that's put us in a jam today, where we are and what we are. And it's put us in a jam today about what it is that we should expect. But it's a matter of making sure that you can get away from that. Because there's a lot of times, and that's Jesus' whole mission, And that's one of the main things that I was like keying and listening to with reading this Bible today is all the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John today. I had to just go through all that again and just reading it and keying in on the whole concept that Jesus is like, we got to go, we got to move. We want to spread this message everywhere to everybody, not just this specific person here, not just these specific people here, but he's like, we got to go over to those people. We got to go over to these people. We got to get to these people. And he wanted to be on the move to just do it himself, to be able to show more and more people that had no idea about who God is or anything about him. That people that never grew up around, people that didn't know who Moses was, people who didn't know who Abraham was, people who didn't know anything about any of these stories, that he wanted to come and be the one to show them and be able to give that to them and be able to provide them something that they could be able to live by so that they could be able to free themselves, so that they can be able to live. That's the main thing. I think a lot of people get stuck on the whole living and dying, that you're living or you're dying right now, right here in this world. If you're being extremely disobedient to God and just living any ways that you want and just being going against every single one of the commands, you're dying on this planet. You're not living. You're living every single day just struggling and hurting and just damaged and getting destroyed every day. But when you decide to understand what God's looking for from you, you're going to start living. And that's something that I think a lot of people get confused with, where I'm going to tell you that when you do try to get closer to God, it is going to be the hardest thing in your life in reality that you've done, especially if you've been extremely away from trying to listen to anything that God has been trying to say to you, anything that God is looking for from you. If you've been just neglectful with everything, and if everything you've been just spiteful and just so savage about it, it's going to be hard for you. You're going to get a hard hit in your life. Things that you always have been doing. I mean, just from the second that you wake up till you go to sleep. You could be living your entire day, every single day, doing things completely against what God is looking for you to do. So you're going to have a whole transformation of your entire life, your entire day to day, every single waking second to even the seconds that you're asleep. Every single waking second, something is going to start to happen to change to you. And God is going to start moving little things for you each and every single day. And it's going to be some challenge. It's going to be hard. It's going to be just savage type hard, because you're not used to it. You're not used to doing things that he's looking for to be able to bring the greatness and the good out of you. You've been doing things of just trying to get what you need to get and do what you got to do to just be able to survive. Thinking that if I just keep stealing this stuff, I got to do it to make it. I got to keep doing that to just be here. And God's like, no, you don't. You can just rely upon me, and that's going to be fine. You can rely upon me and realize that a lot of this stuff that you're out here really trying so hard to try to get, that you just do not need. And that's something that is very, very interesting, because something I want to read today is in the book of Matthew, talking about what I'm going to say is the main reason on why these people were all trying to kill Jesus. It wasn't even the fact that he said that I am the Son of God or I am God or any of that. It's not even that. The main reason on why they were trying to kill him is because of him just up front, straight to their face, telling them what their flaws were. Because he was able to see through people. He saw all of people. He saw the things that they were doing behind the scenes and not just the stuff that they were showing to everybody else. And when you're just showing somebody something, but yet you're going home and doing something different, that's where you're going to have a horrible life in reality, a horrible time. And that's where you have to stick even harder to the way that I can say it is perfectly is following the laws. That there's a difference here. That I keep on hearing a lot of people that are confusing this, where there's laws and then there's commandments. The commandments have never changed, have never gone away, are still there 100%. Because Jesus clarifies that to me over and over and over again. But there's laws that were in place before that Jesus is like, you know what? That doesn't matter. What matters is the commands. What matters is loving another. What matters is sticking to doing that. The other stuff is just is foolishness. And he speaks a lot about that. And he's speaking to these Pharisees that are just all about their everything has to be right. This got to be cleaned right. This got to be set up right. This got to be here right. This got to be done right. And they're preaching and pushing that on everybody. But yet inside of themselves, they're not living that. They're just trying to push those rules, because we get stuck as human beings in rules means that we're doing right. If I got the right attire on, I must be doing it right. As opposed to not realizing that what's underneath the attire is what matters. Who cares what suit you got on? Who cares what robes you got on? Who cares what jewelry you got? Who cares what kind of altar you've built? Who cares what your church looks like? It matters what's going on the inside. Who cares about how big and fancy and how many TVs you got and speaker systems and camera systems and how many people you got on payroll, how many books you putting out there, how many this, none of that matters. you're following the rules of human beings to try to think that that's going to be able to make you a holy person, as opposed to just sticking to the commands and realizing that that's what we're supposed to be focusing our time and our energy on. So right here, I just want to start reading something because I think it's very, very interesting. Because in the book of Matthew, in the 23rd chapter, and I'm just going to read a little bit of this because I'm going to read most of it, but I'm going to skip a little here and there. So when I read this, I just get to reading, and one day I'm going to be a beyond really nice, really good reader. I'm still praying and asking about that, but I'm going to get there one day. And the only way I'm going to get there is continue to keep on practicing. To continue to keep on practicing is what I'm going to continue to keep on doing, because there's nothing else to do better on this planet in reality. That once you really start to read this book, I'm telling you, you start to get excited because you start to realize some things that are just incredible. But in Matthew 23, it says, "Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you be careful to do everything they tell you, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make I don't know, but that's basically like their robes. They make their robes wide and the tassels on their garments long. They love to place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbis by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call another on earth father, for you have one Father, for he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." And so I'm going to read on here. Woe to you, this is verse 13. "Woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heavens in the people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Woe to you, teachers of the law, you and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over the land and sea to win a single convert, and when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much a child of hell as you are. Woe to you, blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gold of the temples is bound by that oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gift on the altar, it is bound by that oath. You blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it, by everything on it. And anyone who swears by the temple swears by it and by the one who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and by the one who sits on it. Woe to you, teachers of the law, you Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matter of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out the gnat but swallow the camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of your cup and dish, but the inside is full of greed and indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be clean. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but the inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of why can't I get that word out? Hypocrisy and wickedness. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we have lived in the days of our ancestors, we would have not taken part in them shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started. You snakes, you blood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore, I am sending you prophets and sage and teachers. Some of them you will kill and crucify. Others you will flog in your synagogues and pursue from town to town. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood that has been shed on the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel to the blood of Zacharias, son of whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you, all of this will come on this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you. How often I have longed to gather your children together, as the hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you were not willing. Look, your house is left to the desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. A whole lot of that is just fascinating. There's one part right there that I have no choice but to go to, because it's something that I just, when I hear this, it just hits me. It hits me deep with some fantastic understanding of knowing exactly this certain words, certain things, and certain phrases just come to you. And each of us has a different part of this that you're going to read that just hits you. But this is the way that Jesus was talking to these people, just straight up. He was looking them dead in the face and used a hypocrite straight in their face. He was talking to these people like this. He wasn't using no hidden messages. He was just saying straight up, you wrong. Hey, where's my dog at? He down, Oreo down. And he was just straight up all in their face, not trying to be nice and not trying to be anything. He was just saying exactly what needed to be said based on what it is that he was seeing. And what he was seeing was just an absolute disaster. And what he was seeing, it was just absolute filth. People trying to act and try to be so holy, but yet you're not that in any sort of way. You're out here just living savage, that you're trying to tell somebody, because I see this a lot, and I've heard this a lot, and I've been in experience with this a lot, where someone's trying to tell you that you shouldn't this or you shouldn't that, and then you find out 20 minutes later that they do that. It's like someone saying to you, I mean, I've had this exact example is what I'm going to say. Someone say to you, hey man, you should stop smoking that. That's not good for you. That goes against this and that goes against this and this law and this rule and this guideline. And then you see them do it later on, or you hear about them do it, and then you actually do witness to verify that that actually is going down. So they're trying to say to you what you can't do, but yet they are doing. And for me, the part that just is very interesting is talking about the whole inside and the outside of the cup in the dish. Some people out here are so focused. This is where I think that a lot of us are failing today. And I see this just constantly. And it's an unfortunate thing that this is something I could just see through everything that's going on. And I'm going to use a cup and a dish from the terms of the outside and the inside to the outside and inside of us as human beings. That us as human beings today are doing things that is just you're screaming for help. And every time I see it, I could just see you scream for help. And that's the concept of trying to do everything you can to make yourself look a certain way so that people can talk to you and think that you're a certain way, as opposed to actually just being that. You're trying so hard to have a specific outfit on to look a certain way. You're trying so hard to have your makeup just right to look a certain way. You're trying so hard to, I mean, my goodness, majority of girls today just naked walking outside to try to look a certain way so that you can show to the world that I'm confident, I'm secure, I'm successful, I'm good to go. But what you're actually showing to the world is I am scared, I am insecure, I am frightened, I am in the need of something because something inside of me is missing. So I'm trying to get some outside validation to figure out how to be able to get my inside fixed. And you're never going to be able to do that. Never going to be able to do that from another human being out here to be able to think that they're going to be able to validate you in some sort of way to give you what you're looking for. That is only something that God is going to be able to fulfill. And I just see that going on over and over and all day today. And especially when it comes down to these Israelites, these Hebrew Israelites and all these people out here, you're standing up, trying to yell, trying to preach, trying to just demean, trying to be so damned to people that you're standing up there like you're so strong, but then the weakness is seen. That I don't know if you see that, but that's why you think that you got to be so more tough. So more, someone doesn't agree with you, you got to try to put hands on. Someone doesn't agree with you, you got to get in fights. You got to start to slander, you got to start to down talk, you got to start calling them names. You got to start just demeaning them. You got to start doing stuff like that. If you're a tough person, you don't have to go that route. You're just going to say, oh, you don't agree with that? The way that your Bible states it, move on, and continue to keep moving on. And it's something that there's a lot of that going on today, that people are from the outside, their exterior, are trying to act and trying to be a certain way to try to get what it is that they're looking for. And I'm telling you, you're not going to get it that way. And especially a lot of y'all young guys out here the same way. This is just everybody, but especially just everybody. I'm just going to straight say like that everyone is out here trying to find and trying to seek someone to pay attention to them, as opposed to, I mean, by putting on like exterior items, trying to have a better house, or trying to have that car, or if I had this suit, or if I had this shirt, or these kind of shoes. I'm watching these guys out here buying these shoes that, what is that stuff called? These Gucci slides that are like $700, $800, $900. I'm like, you think that that's gonna make someone look upon you as if you got it, you doing good? Because in reality, what you're showing to the world is, I'm broke. I'm not making it. I'm struggling. I'm hurting. I don't know how to be able to keep up with what I'm keeping up with. That's what that shows. When you're driving around in a $250,000 car, that's what that shows. That shows that I'm lacking something inside, and I need everyone else around to look at me and pay attention to me, to try to get something inside of you. You're hurting. You're lacking. You're not able to be yourself, because you're trying so hard to get other people to look at you. And then a lot of y'all girls out here that don't want to put clothes on anymore, like that's just the new thing of today. And that just shows more and more of how broken you are, and how destroyed you are, how insecure you are, or how just devastatingly someone or something or your own self has just beaten and broken yourself down to the point that you think that you have no value without having the eyes of everybody on you. You have to look a certain way, be a certain way, so someone can see you. That's just how broken you are inside. That you got to fix inside. You got to figure out what the problems are inside of you, and stop caring about what that outside appearance is doing and what that outside appearance is looking like. A lot of us are caring so much about that outside appearance. We got to have everything just right and just perfect and just good to go, and that's how someone's going to be able to listen to me. That's how someone's going to be able to pay attention to me, and not realizing that you're not going to find that outside of having a good understanding of knowing who God is and what he's all about and what he's able to bring to us. Because the more and more that you keep getting away from the commands, the more and more that you keep just backsliding and going further and further away, the more and more of the stuff of this world that you're going to need to try to just be able to survive. The more and more that you got to have a certain image to just be able to survive, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to get what it is that you want to be able to get. And a lot of times, the things that we think that we need to be able to get are things that we already can get on our own, that we don't need another human being to be able to give to us. Trust me, I know about trying to have the right looking style, the right looking this, the right that, the difference of this, and to just get people to have the eyeballs, to be able to just like, I'm doing good because I have this. And it's like, no, you're not doing good because you have an item. You're doing good when you're complete with yourself, realizing that having these items are meaningless, are pointless, are worthless. That's why it's just wild to me. When I used to hear people talk about stuff like this, where they're just like, you don't need that car's stupid. I'm just like, well, yeah, you just broke. That's why you don't want that. You'll never be able to get that because you don't have the funds to be able to do so. But when I really start paying closer and closer attention to the people that are just really doing good in my personal life, of people that I personally know, the people that I'm going to say are doing good. I know many of the people that got more money than they know what the heck to do with, that they don't even know where to put it. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, they are regular looking folks. You would never have any idea. You would never know. They drive regular trucks, used older ones. They got regular houses. They got regular everything. They dress regular. They don't have anything extra on. They don't have a single flashy thing on. They don't even wear like gold rings and gold watches. They have none of that on. They're just wearing just whatever. Older shoes on, older pants on, some holes in it. I mean, holes in the pants today is, I guess, a fashion, but I mean real working holes, like holes because you've been working for 15 years in those pants. And those are some 15-year-old pants. It's not something that you bought to try to fool a fashion. Everyone can tell the difference between a real working pant and some fake stuff. That's why they so expensive today, which is it's kind of funny to me. But these people don't go for all of that, because they are secure with themselves. They know that themselves they're good to go. They know themselves that they're fine. They know themselves that they don't need to show off and show out to feel any sort of way. They have what they have, they're happy with what they have, and they're very, very happy to share what they even have with anybody that's looking for some help. They're very happy to put other people out there to work. They're very happy to do whatever they can to be able to help out. That's the realness out here. But the people that are all trying to flash off and all that and trying to have the fancy this and show the fancy that, they are missing, lacking, and just destroyed inside. I'm telling you that. I know that. And I guarantee that, because that's what my Bible constantly keeps on telling me and showing me every single day. Every single moment that I keep on reading it, every single moment that I keep on studying it, every single moment that I'm just not even reading it, but I'm listening to something else that's bringing me right back to it. is constantly telling me that the outside stuff is not going to bring the validation to you. The outside stuff isn't going to bring nothing to you. Because there's that story of the guy. I might be able to find that one pretty fast. The story of the guy that is asking Jesus, how do I get to God? And Jesus tells him, it's the commandments that you need to pay attention to. It's the commandments that I'm looking for from you. And he says, well, I've been going by all those. Then what else is there? And he's like, well, sell all your stuff, give it to the poor, and come along with me. And he's just like, I can't do that. And he can't do that because he thinks that stuff is what makes him. He thinks that, I was always confused with stories like that. Very, very confused. Like, why the heck does he want you to just be nothing, have nothing, and be poor and just broke all the time? But that's not at all the message of what Jesus is bringing. He's bringing to us the message of, you need to stop thinking that is what makes you. You need to stop thinking that those items is what's going to be able to bring your greatness. It's you, your own self, inside of your own self. It has nothing to do with that stuff. So once you are good to go, if you've already had this stuff and then you just get rid of it all and then you yourself get complete, you'll realize that you'll get like 100 times of it back again. But you're going to get it back again in a way to be able to move it forward, to be able to help someone else out, as opposed to just moving it forward to helping your own self out. That's the difference here. He's not saying to live broke and have nothing and be nothing on this planet and to just always be, I don't knows and I'm unsures and can't keep up with your bills. It's not at all what he's saying. He's saying, do not make that stuff be who you are to the world of feeling like that's the validation that you need for people to be able to see you, for you to be happy. I need this house to be happy. No, realize that you are already good to go. Now you're going to be able to get something much greater because you're already good to go. That you're not going to have to do so much to try to get these items that are not going to bring you anywhere. And it's something that these Pharisees were just all about. They're all about, I got to have the prettiest of this. I got to make sure that I pray just right. I got to have the best, loudest prayer out there. I got to have the longest one all day long. I got to sit in the best seats all the time. I got to have everybody always making sure that they're bow down to me and always praising me everywhere I go. That's what they're doing, because they're looking for all this outside stuff to try to fix their inside. And Jesus is looking right straight through them, saying, you hypocrites, you guys are far from understanding God. You guys are far from his ways. You guys are completely wicked. And that's the moments when they're starting to kill him. They're wanting to kill, they're like, we're going to kill this guy now because we can't have this. And then at the same time, it really comes down to him preaching this message straight to them. And then it comes down into the book of John. It gives a little bit more details about this guy, Jesus, is like taking people away from us. He's taking all these people from us because they're realizing that all that isn't the realness. So these guys are trying to take all your money, take all your resources, take all your stuff to make stuff look good and look pretty, but the inside is destroyed. And Jesus is like, get away from that. You want to come over here and fix yourself. You want to be good with yourself. You want to be able to find that peace inside of you, not having peace because of what your outward appearance looks like. And he's like, they're taking our people. So they're like, well, we'd rather just get rid of one rather than making sure we would get rid of a whole bunch. So that's when they really start to put it in plan. Not the fact that I'm God and I'm this. That's not the reason that they were trying to kill him. They're trying to kill him because they were taking their people away. And he was just speaking directly to them in their faces about how wicked they were. And they're trying to act like they're so holy and act like they're just so righteous and act like they're just so amazing. But they're just extremely wicked. Wicked to the point that they're savage. And that's where it comes down to the point of they're like, oh, you didn't wash your hands. And he's like, dude, what are you creeping, huh? He's like, dude, what is wrong with you people? You people are stuck on all these rules, but yet you're not living the guidelines that God is looking for. You're looking at all these human rules. You got to wash your hands. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to go over here. You got to wash this. You got to do that. And then you can that. And there, Jesus is just like, dude, that's just maddening. Because something that is fascinating because of how he said it and the way he said it is just very interesting. He said it's not what goes inside of you that defiles you. It's what comes out of you. It's the words and the things that you say that come from your inside to the out, not the outside that goes in. Outside that goes in, he said, dude, it's just going to go in your stomach and you're just going to waste it out. But the things that you put out, that's what becomes a little more wicked. That's what comes a little more sad. That's what you need to start paying very, very close attention to with what it is that's coming out. What's coming out is things that you need to be very, very careful of what you're saying and the ways that you're doing and what you're trying to say to somebody about what it is that they're doing, especially if it's something that you're still continuing to keep on doing. And that's something that I just know is a very, very interesting thing on this planet, that we quick to try to tell someone not to do something, but yet we still doing it. We quick to do something like that. We quick to think that we could solve everyone's problems. Hey, if you just didn't do this anymore, but yet you still do that yourself. You're quick to do that. And that's why I think that a lot of people run into very, very sticky situations when they're trying to help somebody. Because you're trying to say help somebody and give somebody some advice, and they're listening to you. But then 2 minutes later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, they're like, yeah, but you're doing that. So they're just like, you're not credible because you're not saying anything to me that you're doing. So if not doing that was so great and so wonderful and bring me my peace, why are you doing it then? Because it's just very, very confusing. So you're not going to be able to help anyone, guide anyone. And that's why it's very interesting what the guidelines are and what everything is for to be able to be a priest or a preacher or anything like that, or an elder. Because you have to make sure that you're on point with everything that's going on. Because you can't stumble and allow people to see you stumbling and then making people think like, dude, you're telling me not to do this, but yet you're doing it. That's some silly madness that's going on today, like crazy. Silly madness. You're out here trying to tell someone not to this, and then you're standing up there preaching a message of hate, absolute hate. I hate white people. And you're just up there over and over every single day. But you're trying to tell them to love each other and respect each other and work with each other. But then you're sitting there saying that you hate a specific color. You hate black people. You hate Mexican people. You hate all this stuff. You're preaching that over and over, but yet you're saying, oh, you guys need to get along. When you see some fighting and bickering going on amongst people, it's like, dude, what the heck? Like, you got a mass amount of hate behind you, and you're trying to teach and get people to be able to be free on this planet? Like, that's I don't know why, but that's just so backwards. That's so hypocritical, beyond hypocritical, beyond to the point of everything that Jesus is stating here about what these Pharisees are doing. That is just maddening. That's just, I don't know how you go to sleep at night and thinking that you could hear from God by standing up there saying that you hate somebody. You hate a color. You hate a group. You hate this. You can't stand this. That's just maddening to me. You've got to be like burning inside. Like God's got to be like just pressuring you hard. But then I know why. You're able to push past that because you start putting all these rules in place. You start putting all your human guidelines in place. Everyone's got to this, so that they can't pay attention to that mass amount of hate that you have in your core that you don't know how to let go of. You start doing all that to make yourself feel better. And then you feel a little bit better. And then the next day you got to keep on going more. You got to keep on going more. You got to keep on dictating even more. You got to keep being ruthless even more to try to fill that balance of that uneasiness that you have inside of you. I'm telling you, it's not going to last long. It's not going to last long. Because I'm going to say this straight up, that something that I do know based on reading this Bible, that God's moving and he's doing stuff, and he's been doing stuff ever since the day that Jesus passed away and left. He's been moving hardcore. Before that, he was doing what he was doing, but after Jesus, he's been moving. And it hasn't been a lot of time. It hasn't been a lot of time. It's been a couple thousand years. So it hasn't been a lot of time that we've been here, that God is moving, doing what he's doing to be able to transform and change what it is and how things are going. And I just know that for a 100% fact based on just watching stuff, seeing stuff, and just seeing different content that's starting to get popped up out there. People that you're just like, whoa, what's going on here? Why there's so many of these people out here that are just stepping up and trying to do something? And I'm telling you, God is moving. He's been moving. But today he's moving even faster because of the way that we're able to transmit our information and our content and be able to get his word out there even more and more and faster, more efficient, and just way much easier. Way much easier. And he's moving so much that these people that are out here that just have this extreme amount of hate, there's going to be an extreme amount of hate that's going to come back to you. That's what God promises. And that's why I'm saying to you today, get out of your hate. If you think that somebody owes you something, you need to stop. You need to take a look at yourself. You need to start doing some more self-reflection. You need to start praying and asking some more. You need to start getting closer and closer to your commandments so that you can get closer and closer to God again. And then you need to start figuring out how to be able to ask for that forgiveness so that you could be able to start getting that forgiveness from God. You need to start forgiving all of these people. You need to start forgiving everyone that's ever done anything. You need to start forgiving everything in your life so that God can forgive you. God is not going to forgive you until you start forgiving all those before you. That is just, it's not going to happen. And I could be challenged up, down, all the way around about that because that is stated multiple times. And there's stories that even Jesus was saying, and he wasn't speaking the story straight up, but he was speaking the stories in the way of having a very good understanding of knowing exactly what it is that he's talking about. and he's talking about the person that owes the I think it was like 5,000. So you just use dollar amounts on this because a lot of us understand that. Someone owed his master $5,000, and he went to him and said, "Oh, please have mercy on me, please have mercy on me." And he came in, and he said, "Okay, you know what? I'll forgive the debt. It's all good. It's okay." And then he saw one of his servants. It's like, "Dude, you owe me $50. Like, you better get that to me." Then he locks him up and he's beating him and he's doing all this. And it's just like, dude, that dude just forgave you. He just forgiven it all. And then you're going to go and start to be savage with that person. That's exactly what God is all about. God is the one that forgave you of your $5,000. And he forgave you, and he's given you a fantastic life. And then you're going to go out there and start just having an extreme amount of hate towards someone else for small amounts of things. That is exactly what's going on here. And then that's when God, in turn, he says, "Oh, okay, well, forget that. You're back over here. I'm locking you up, and I'm going to keep you here until you pay your debts off. That you're not even going to have a chance to try to oppress that person. I'm going to be on top, and I'm going to oppress you." He's telling us we need to forgive those that have done anything to us. We need to forgive those. We need to get that hate. You need to get that anger. You need to get that jealousy. You need to get all that out of you. You need to start forgiving all those people. You need to start living a nice, healthy, clean life. And then God's going to be able to forgive you. He's going to be able to bring you closer and closer in. But if you're sitting out here just I hate this and I hate that, that's why you're struggling. That's why you can't sleep right. That's why you don't know how to make your moves next. That's why you got to live by these outward appearance things to try to make you look and portray and be a certain way. That's why you got to talk so ruthlessly to people, so demeaning to people. You gotta call them names. You gotta make them do stupid things. I mean, I've seen churches and places and what are the things, camps and clans that are actually literally beating people with sticks and paddles and ropes and beating people. That's when you start doing stuff like that, because you're so insecure. You're so small inside that you got to do that to try to make yourself look big. You gotta physically hit somebody, physically damage somebody to make yourself feel big inside. Like that I don't know, but that's just some sad stuff to me. That's just absolute ridiculousness. I don't know. That is just, it's funny to me. I ain't mad at you. I don't hate you. You do what you got to do. And if that's the life that you want to live over there, then live that life. I forgive what I see, what's going on with that. Because what am I going to do? Who am I? That's God's going to handle that. And God's going to handle that in a way that you're not going to like in the end. That you're going to wish that you would have figured out how to be able to get that hate out. Because that hate is the reason why we're struggling today on this planet. We're struggling today because of an extreme amount of hate. We're struggling today because the enemy is doing everything it can to separate us with things that just don't matter. And it's trying to put it into your brain that I got to hate this because of that. He's doing so much. He's doing so much. I remember one of the biggest things that got everyone in an uproar was the whole concept of trans women being able to go into women's bathrooms. It was like a nation, like just an uproar of hate and rage. And it's like, dude, we're talking about like 0.1% of people here. People that already look and appear like women at this moment. And I definitely don't agree with that lifestyle because my book states that it doesn't. But I don't agree with the hate. The hate does not need to be there. The love is what needs to be there. And love doesn't mean to accept it. Love means to give direction on this isn't right. And we need to figure out how to be able to get you whole and complete so that you can get away from that. We need to figure out how to get you out of what it is that you're lacking inside. You're lacking something inside because you think that you're something else. And if you think that you're something else, I'm telling you, we can help you out with that. We can help you out with that. There's ways around that. But it was just a mass amount of hate. And that was one thing that I just saw the whole world not the world, but the nation here, United States, change overnight. That stuff was getting pushed on the news and the news like crazy. And everyone turned to hate. And hate is not the way to go. Hate is not anything that we should be a part of. And then now we're getting deep with Trump and Biden. Deep with this stuff that I hate that man. If you hate that, if you have that energy in you, I'm telling you, you are hurting. You are destroyed. You sad inside. And that's straight up how Jesus says it. You sad inside. And he feels sad for you because that hate is what's going to keep on limiting you. It's going to keep on restricting you. It's going to keep on just not allowing you to make it to the next moves that you want to be able to move to. It's going to keep on just keeping you enslaved to the point that it's going to be an extremely heavy load on you to even think about doing anything different. That hate is what's slowing you down. And you need to let that hate go. You need to forgive those people. You need to understand that there's things that go on this planet that are out of your control. They're in God's control, God's hands. He's doing what he's got to do. It's not your control. So get out of it and get into what it does matter. Get into God's realm. Get into his spirit world. Get into his freedom. Get out of the Satan's way and the Satan's life and all of that. That's meaningless. That's going nowhere. And hating somebody is not gonna do anything for you. Hate is just showing how insecure you are inside. It's just showing how much more you're lacking inside when you show out and put out all of this hate. When you're a confused person that wants to be called this and wants to be called that and wants to be this and wants to be that, and you get mad because someone doesn't say the right words to you, the right ways to you, the right this to you, you are lacking so much inside. You're missing so much inside. And it's something that I want to be able to help you figure that out. I want to be able to fulfill you. I want to be able to get that cup clean on the inside. Get the inside of that dish clean so that we can be able to get you into a better place on this planet. As opposed to just thinking that you're hurting. Thinking that your ways are going to be able to bring you into a better position. I'm telling you. That's a rare thing to hear one of those driving by. Y'all gonna howl? Y'all not gonna bark it out? Johnny. Everybody get back down. Everybody down. I hear you. I know them things get you. Johnny down. It's been a lot of ambulances, fire trucks, and police stuff going on lately. It's got me wondering what's going on. What's going on with the world today? That there's a lot more of this tragic stuff going on. A lot more of this emergency stuff needing to be going on. A lot more of this just people's getting hurt, like physically hurt at this point. It's no longer just a mental, spiritual thing. It's a physical thing. That's something to me that just makes me think more and more and more about this hate. Makes me think more and more about me trying to do everything I can, the best I can, to figure out how to be able to get you out of that hate, to realize that you don't need to hate anything or anybody, and especially you need to hate yourself. Because a lot of times if you hate somebody, it's because you hate yourself. And hating yourself is something that we for sure need to figure out how to be able to get past. Because that's something that Jesus was saying. I think it's in the book of Mark that I was reading, that he's talking, I think it was that one, it might have been Luke, is one of them. Jesus was talking about the concept of loving one another and then not loving your own self. And he's like, we can't not love our own self. We can't have hate in our own self, about our own self. We got to figure out how to be able to get past that. We got to figure out how to be able to get through that so that we can be able to move on to something that is going to be much, much greater. And a lot of it is going to be start with just yourself and not what you see outside. I'm telling you right now, right now, right here, right now, that me, Mark Anthony DuBose Jr., born July 4th, 1986, me gonna say right here, right now, if you hate somebody because of how they look, because of what they do, because of anything about them, it's something inside of you that you don't like about your own self. They're able to do, and they're doing something that you wish that you could do, that you could express, that you could be able to be about. But yet you can't do that. So you have this hate. So you're projecting your inside hate of your own self out to someone else because you don't appreciate that. Because for me, it's a very fascinating thing because I could see the hate, and I was on this little trip myself with the schools, and teaching all this what I'm going to say is madness to the kids in the schools, and verifying to realize that actually is true going on. Is trying to teach kids about sexuality at too early of an age, that they should just be playing, hanging out, and not worried about what you are and what you aren't, but just realizing that you're just a kid, you're a human. Let's have some fun, let's do some learning, and let's move forward. And I got it in me of like, I don't like this. But then I had to like stop that and then look at what is it that I don't like about it. Because in reality, if I was living by what I need to be living by, the people that are, say, directly close to me, they're not going to be affected by any of that. Because they're going to say, I see this guy doing something, but them over there, they're wishy-washy. They're quick to anger, they're quick to slander, they're quick to judgmental, they're quick to all this stuff. Like they're going to realize real quick that must not be the way to go. That the way to go must be a different way that's more controlled, that has way more compassion, that is way more in the realm of being able to understand who they are and not feeling wishy-washy in any way. So I just let it go because I was like, I don't care. I don't care what you teach my kids. I don't care what in the future of my kids that anyone wants to try to teach and try to say and try to do to my kids. I don't care because I'm secure enough with my own self, knowing that I know what I'm doing is the right route. So they're going to either come along or not come along. And at the end of the day, I just really, really know that this is when Jesus talks about the division. He comes back in division. Mother against child, child against parent, mother against all that, just going crazy. That I'm here to raise some kids up, but they're not mine, they're God's. So at the end of the day, what they do and what they choose to do is on them. So I was just like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. So why am I trying so hard to try to have this like this hate in me about what's going on? And I just say, you know, I don't care. You want my kids? Take my kids, because I see that being said. Y'all trying to take the kids and trying to do what you want with the kids. I don't care. Do what you want to do with the kids. And because that's what I'm going to say is that's the plans in motion of doing what's going on. That if you get deceived and you fall into that, I feel sorry for you. But I'm going to tell you here right now, if you want to figure out how to be able to get out of that deception, I got you. Just come on over here. I'll teach you some things to be able to give you a different way to be able to look at the world. I'll be able to say some things to be able to make you think a little differently about what people are trying to say to you. I'll be able to bring something to you that you're just going to be like, I've never even thought about it that way. Like, that's fascinating, because that's the inspiration that I want to be able to bring based on the inspiration that God has been able to give to me. So when you say to me that I'm confused about who I am and what I am, I'm going to say, okay, well, that's our start. Now let's ask some questions, and some questions are going to need to be asked. Some questions, some hard questions, questions that you ain't never thought of before. Some questions that some other people aren't going to be able to give you the answers to. It's only you that's going to be able to give the answers to your own self. That's something that is fascinating and just absolutely wonderful about this planet. That the more and more hate that you have towards another person, the more and more that you're just showing who you are inside. And the more that you start showing inside, showing to the outwards based on that hate, the more I just want to figure out how to be able to help you out, because I can see that. But it doesn't mean that I have to. It just means that, you know, I got to say what I got to say. And if I don't, that's where I'm going to run into the sticky situation I know. Because there's the, what do you call it, the last time, the watchmen. The people that you got to say it. You got to do something. When you see it, you got to say it. And then whatever happens later is what happens later. But then we just move on. And with that, I just want to say thank you for a very interesting day today. Of being able to go for a walk that it was really rough. But I had a good time being able to do a whole lot of listening, a whole lot of thinking, and a whole lot of pondering. To be able to realize that there's one thing that's going on this planet that it's worldwide, and that's hate. And the hate is what's making people very, very confused, because you're going to try to say that you love, but you can't if you hate. You can't love if you hate. You're just not going to. That's just not going to work. That's not going to happen. That's not what's inside of you in any way. And it's something that a lot of us should pay more and more close attention to, the things that you hate and the things that you just think that someone is trying to do something to you because of what your color is, as opposed to realizing that it's just you. It's your own self. Your own self needs to do some work. Your own self needs, is that big snake, homie? We gonna catch that big snake out here someday. That dog gonna get that snake out of here probably for me. But something needs to change with the hate that's going on. That if you following someone that is standing up there saying to you that white people are the devil and they're the reason why you're struggling and hurting, you need to do everything you can to get away from that, because that's going to set you up for failure. Because who you following and who you paying attention to, you're going to be judged right with them, because you made a decision to be with them and to do that. And I'm telling you right here, right now, that is 100% wrong. Thank you.